Okay, let's dive right into this highly practical explainer for all of us San Diego homeowners. Look, if you've ever wrestled with a stubborn window latch that just will not budge, or found yourself lying in bed wondering if that ground floor window is actually secure, well, this is exactly what you need to hear. We're going to take a deep dive into the surprisingly fascinating and, let's be real, often frustrating world of window hardware.
You know the feeling, right? It's incredibly frustrating. You go to turn a latch and absolutely nothing happens. Or worse, the thing literally snaps off in your hand. So today, we're going to diagnose exactly why San Diego window locks constantly fail. And more importantly, we're going to look at how to fix them the right way without wasting your hard-earned cash on temporary band-aids. So, here's our no-fluff plan for today. First, why window locks fail. Second, the real cost of repairs. Third, security, myth versus reality. Fourth, the coastal corrosion factor. And finally, smart upgrades and maintenance. Let's get to it.
Starting off with Section 1, Why Window Locks Fail. We're going to do a quick home inspection-style diagnosis of what's actually breaking down inside your window frames right now.
When a lock fails, it almost always boils down to two main culprits. First up is just daily wear. Think about it, that repetitive metal-on-metal friction over decades. Every time you open or close that window, you're wearing down the mechanism, leaving you with a really sloppy, loose latch. But the second culprit? That one is very specific to our local geography. I'm talking about aggressive coastal corrosion. The salt air out here actively attacks your zinc and aluminum hardware, literally freezing the internal pins and springs dead in their tracks.
Let's look at the classic sash lock. It's basically a simple device with two metal plates that cam together. If you're living in an older home, especially east of the 5, you probably have these exact locks. Over time, that continuous metal-on-metal contact completely wears down the pivot points. When that happens, the lock can slip right out of place, even when you swore you just locked it. It gives you this false sense of security where the window looks locked, but honestly, a stiff breeze could practically jiggle it open. Crazy, right?
Now, for casement windows, the failure feels a bit different. The big issues here are worn handle pivot points, seized latch arms, and just a total loss of mechanical advantage. Basically, the handle pivots wear down so much that you lose all your leverage. You're turning the handle, but nothing tightens. The latch arm is completely seized up, and you have zero ability to pull that window tightly into its frame. It is an incredibly helpless feeling when the mechanics just give out on you like that.
Okay, moving right along to Section 2, the real cost of repairs. Now that we've diagnosed the problem, let's look at the treatment plan and what it's actually going to cost you to fix these issues locally here in San Diego.
When we look at direct per-window estimates in our area, a really fascinating trend emerges. Let's say you just want to clean, lube, and replace the pins on a worn sash lock. That's going to run you about $50 to $95 per window. But, and here's the kicker, consider a full sash replacement. Tearing out the old mechanism and putting in a brand new, heavier gauge unit ranges from $80 to $150. Upgrading a casement, $85 to $160. Adding a keyed electronic lock, $110 to $180. The absolutely crucial takeaway here is that sometimes upgrading to a vastly superior modern lock is only a $30 to $50 difference compared to just slapping a Band-Aid on a dying mechanism. It's often so much smarter to just replace the whole shebang.
But hey, what if you have multiple windows acting up at once? If you're tackling a full house, do not fix them one by one. Multi-window jobs are way more economical because local pros will quote them at a flat rate. You can expect to pay somewhere between $400 to $900 to service and upgrade every single ground floor window and rear door in your house. Taking advantage of that economy of scale is a real game changer for your wallet.
Let's transition over to Section 3, Security, Myth versus Reality. With the financial costs out of the way, it is time for a serious reality check about what your window hardware actually does for your home safety.
We homeowners frequently view our window locks as these impenetrable security vaults. Actually, scratch that. The reality is quite different. A standard lock is fundamentally just a retention device. It's made of softer metals designed to stop a window from rattling in the wind or sliding open during a storm. It is absolutely not built to resist determined physical force. And really, think about it. Even the strongest lock in the world is still bolted to a highly vulnerable, totally shatterable sheet of glass.
But before you go thinking locks are completely useless, consider this. Local San Diego burglary data consistently shows that unlocked doors and windows are the single most common entry point for break-ins. Not forced entry, not broken glass. Unlocked windows. A functioning lock is an incredibly valuable deterrent. It makes an opportunistic intruder, someone just walking by and testing windows, move on to an easier, unlocked target down the street. Your goal isn't to build an impenetrable fortress, it's just to make your home a harder target than the house next door.
Section 4. The coastal corrosion factor. How does our beautiful local geography complicate all of this? Let's talk about the ever-present salt air threat.
3 miles. That is your critical threat radius. Take a second and think about where your house sits. If your home is within 3 miles of the water here in San Diego, well, your hardware is actively and aggressively corroding right now, whether you can see the damage yet or not. That salt air is just relentless.
And this salt air works on a very predictable schedule. Within 5 to 8 years, your hardware will start to bind up. You're going to really notice this on those west-facing windows taking the absolute brunt of the afternoon sea breeze. By year 10 to 12, those pins and handles can and will completely seize. If you start seeing a white, powdery oxidation building up on your aluminum frames, pay attention. That is your giant, flashing warning sign. You need to replace those locks before they freeze completely and trap your windows shut forever.
Finally, Section 5, Smart Upgrades and Maintenance. Let's prescribe the cure. The absolute best preventative care and the smart, cost-effective upgrades to truly secure your home.
Okay, if your lock is already stuck, do not panic. Step 1 is absolutely critical. Do not force it. If you try to muscle a seized lock, you're going to snap the internal parts and turn a cheap fix into an expensive replacement. Instead, grab some dry PTFE or dry graphite lubricant and spray it. Then, walk away. Let it sit for 15 to 30 minutes so the lubricant can actually penetrate the seized mechanism. Only then should you come back and gently work the lock back and forth to break up that corrosion.
And please, I am begging you, whatever you do, never ever use WD-40 or any other wet, oil-based products on your window locks. I know it's super tempting because we use it for literally everything else, but here's why it's a terrible idea. Wet lubricants leave a sticky residue. In our marine climate, that residue acts like a giant magnet. It captures coastal moisture, salt, and dirt, which then rapidly accelerates the exact corrosion you are trying to prevent. Always stick to dry lubricants, for sure.
Now, if you actually want to step up your security, focus on upgrades that address real-world vulnerabilities. First, look into Windows security film. This significantly increases the shear force required to shatter the glass. Second, consider anti-lift devices. These cost under $25 and completely stop an intruder from simply lifting the entire window sash out of its tracks. And third, keyed window locks. For just $20 to $40 more than a basic lock, you stop someone from breaking a tiny hole in the glass and simply reaching in to turn the latch. They would literally need the physical key. And for our coastal homeowners in spots like Encinitas, Oceanside, or Carlsbad, here is your golden rule. Always spend the extra $15 to $30 per window to specify marine-grade or stainless steel hardware. That minor upfront investment pushes the lifespan of your locks from a measly 10 years all the way up to 20 or 30 years. It is hands down the single smartest, most cost-effective long-term upgrade you can make against the constant threat of salt air.
Knowing that unlocked windows are the single most common entry point for burglaries in San Diego, I'm going to leave you with this absolutely crucial question to think about tonight. Are your ground floor windows actually locked? And more importantly, do those locks actually work? Take a quick walk around your house this evening and test them, one by one. You just might find that it's time for a long overdue upgrade. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this helps you keep your home secure, functional, and operating smoothly.